reporting out of closed session. We have one item, school board partnerships. Item 4.1. Mr. Clerk. Recorded vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion is to actually, it's just to defer the item.
Thank you. Recorded vote.
Mover and a seconder.
Pardon?
Mover and a second.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. Someone like to move that? Councillor Thompson, second. Councillor Kim. Comments, questions? Recorded vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recorded vote has been requested for the only item of council reporting out of closed session this evening. Councillor Kim, how do you vote? Councillor Kim votes yes. Councillor Gilliland? Councillor Gilliland votes yes. Councillor Humphreys? Councillor Humphreys votes yes. Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Gartner?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson? Yes. Councillor Thompson votes yes, and Mayor Maracus.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Confirming bylaw. Someone like to move that? Councillor Kim, Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Kim, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Mr. Clerk, the time is 7:02. I'll call this council meeting to order. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, meetings will be available to the public via live stream only on the town's YouTube channel. To participate electronically, please visit aurora.ca/participation. We'd like to start by acknowledging that the land on which we live and work is the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, whose presence here continues to this day. Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaties First Nations. We acknowledge and thank them for sharing this land with us. A shared understanding of how the rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and of how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us walk together into a better future. Council, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Kim. Any comments or questions? Call the vote.
Oh, shit.
Councillor Garter.
Thank you,
Oh, you're
Mr.
good?
Mayor.
Oh, no, it's in. Never mind. I
Okay,
apologize.
thank you. No, I was late. Thank you.
That carries. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Community presentations, we have one, 4.1, Sandra Ferry, President and CEO, and Al Wilson, Chair, Board of Directors regarding the Aurora Chamber of Commerce update. Sandra, Al, welcome.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. Al won't be joining us tonight. It's actually me that will be presenting.
Okay. Well, welcome and yeah, and
Thank you.
looking forward to the presentation.
Perfect. Good evening, Mayor Maracus, councillors, and town staff. My name is Sandra Ferry, and I'm the President and CEO of the Aurora Chamber of Commerce. I'm here this evening to provide an update on chamber activities over the past year and to look at what's coming this fall and into 2022. I wanted to start by acknowledging our board of directors who have been instrumental over the past 20 months in keeping the chamber viable and effective in the business community. Last year, we increased the size of our board from 12 to 15 to ensure inclusivity of all levels and types of businesses. As you can see from the image, we have a good cross-representation from a number of business areas. As we look at the past year, we've seen many impacts of the pandemic on our local businesses. Many of our retail, restaurant, fitness, service, and small businesses continue to feel the effects of the pandemic. Many have taken on debt to keep their businesses going, and some have unfortunately closed. The town has lost some unique and longstanding businesses. There have also been businesses that have thrived through the pandemic, and we're beginning to see new businesses opening in Aurora as a hopeful sign for the future. The three chamber initiatives that I'd like to talk about tonight are Explore Aurora, Accelerate Business Recovery, and the Workplace Screening Program. The federal government approached the Ontario Chamber of Commerce to have chambers act as distribution centers for the rapid antigen tests to businesses with less than 150 employees. When we began in June, the pickup by business was slow, but as the province began to reopen, the requests came in fast and furious. We have distributed approximately 10,000 kits to over 150 businesses to date. Let's take a look at Explore Aurora. We currently have 350 businesses and nonprofits listed, and we're pushing to get more business listed every day. We've received funding from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce to support an enhanced Explore Aurora campaign that will run from September to the end of January 2022. The campaign includes banners to run along downtown Yonge Street and Wellington Street. You can see some examples of those on the screen. Radio and newspaper ads to visit Explore Aurora and enter the Shop Local, Support Local contest. Videos, 4 in total, 1 for Experience York Region and 1 each for Shop, Dine, and Play. Business spotlight videos to post to the Explore Aurora website, and an Experience York Region campaign that overarches all of the individual municipal campaigns taking place. Let's take a look at the Experience York Region Aurora video now. Next, we soft launched the Accelerate Business Recovery virtual hub back in June. The hub was designed with busy business owners in mind and is a self-serve resource that will meet their needs on their schedule because it's all online and provides one-on-one consultations at a time convenient to them. I have another short video that describes all that's available through the hub, so we'll watch that now. Welcome to the Accelerate Business Recovery Hub, sponsored by Desjardins Insurance and created by the Aurora Chamber of Commerce. I'm Sandra Ferry, President and CEO of the Aurora Chamber. Did you know that the Hub is designed as an all-in-one, self-guided resource to provide training and support for businesses just like yours? If you're a York Region business looking to strengthen your digital marketing or rethink your business model, we have consultants ready to provide one-on-one coaching absolutely free. Or if you want to develop your business skills, we're offering 100 York Region business owners free enrollment in the York University Foundation Certificate in Business Management, valued at $2,000. If a certificate program isn't for you, then York University's Schulich School of Business has also created content for the Knowledge Center in the areas of digital marketing, financial planning, and strategic planning. But the learning doesn't stop there. Local business leaders have developed bite-sized instructional videos on specific topics in the Success Tips section. All of this content is free to all York Region businesses, so get engaged with your community and accelerate your business growth. Log into the Hub now. As you can see, the Hub is rich in content and provides much needed support for our businesses. Let's turn our focus to the future now as we wrap up the presentation. We hope to see the return of the Home Show and the Street Festival in 2022, as we look forward to getting back to all of our events being live. We want to keep the Explore Aurora brand growing and evolving as the future community directory and tourism site for the town of Aurora. The Accelerate Business Recovery Hub will continue to have new content added to it, and once businesses begin to rebound, we will begin to transform it into an accelerator-type hub that will grow and support the Aurora startup business community. And as always, we'll continue to strengthen our partnership with the town to build a thriving and dynamic business community. Any questions?
Thank you, Sandra. Council, first, can I get a motion to receive the presentation? Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Thompson. Any comments or questions? Councillor Humphreys.
Just want to say thank you very much, Sandra, for your presentation tonight. The Aurora Chamber hasn't skipped a beat throughout this entire almost 2 years of uncertainty and things that we would never have dreamed 2 years ago would have happened. And I just can't thank you enough, and the Chamber, for your support of our local businesses. You're step hand in hand with the businesses and town during the toughest of times. And just want to thank you very much. It means a lot to me, and I know everyone here. And looking forward to a lot of the recovery to continue. And I really do hope 2022 will show those events again, because you don't realize how much you miss things when you don't have them anymore, right? So
true.
I just wanted to comment to thank you very much for your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. I echo everything that Councillor Humphrey said. And I just want to say how proud I am to have such a great Aurora Chamber who's been so supportive. And Sandra, I know that you and your team have been on the ball with resources as they change. It's constantly fluid and moving with the different kinds of supports for businesses. And I applaud you guys for keeping on the pulse of that and making sure those communication pieces have been shared with the community as quickly as possible for everybody to reach. So I appreciate all your hard work and look forward to this new hub. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gallo.
I'll echo my thanks as well, Sandra, to you and all the board members navigating through very difficult times, especially businesses that were hit hard and devastated. So you guys are doing a great job. Just looking at the board of directors, there's a dynamic group, and it's no doubt you guys are accomplishing great things. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. It's I don't know if I could use the word amazing, but you've done a wonderful job. And maybe it is amazing. You've taken such good care of our businesses. You've come up with so many strategies and ways to help, and you're available. And I'm sure our businesses really appreciate it. And I'm very sorry for the businesses we've lost, but I'm sure it wasn't due to lack of effort on your part, on the Chamber's part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none. Sandra, thank you very much for coming this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I think that through the past close to 19 months, we've gone through a lot. We've learned a lot from I think from everyone and from each other, and I think that our partnership has grown stronger, and I think that it's continuously evolving, and I think that we've worked very closely to ensure that our businesses are able to get through this, and that we're able to have a recovery from an economic standpoint, that we can be stronger as we move forward. So I'm looking forward to continuing our strong partnership. And thank you again for what you and the board and everyone has done through this very difficult time. And we're very excited about hearing that in 2022, that with the possibility of live events, especially the street sale. I know everyone will be excited to hear the fact that the possibility of it being back stronger than ever. So we're all looking forward to that. So thank you again for everything that you guys do.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Council, I'll call the vote. That carries. Next, we have delegations. We have 5.1, Glenn Payne, resident, regarding item 7.2.4, Machel Avenue and Irwin Avenue traffic control assessment. Mr. Payne, welcome. Good to see you again. You have 5 minutes and the floor is yours, sir.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate your time. And well, I can't really see anybody, but nice to speak to you all. I appreciate the effort that you guys have gone through, the councilors and you, Mr. Mayor Maracus, in regards to our traffic concerns in our neighborhood. I know they're small, somewhat insignificant streets in the grand scheme of things, but they're important to us. We wanted to make sure that us as residents, the pedestrians and our children are safe on our roads. And installing these traffic measures, the stop signs, and the crosswalk would certainly help achieve that. And we look forward to that happening. I'll be brief. If you guys have any questions in regards to why we want to have this, the reason that we're putting so much pressure on to get this done, please feel free. I know there's a couple of councilors that had some questions. But there's, I guess in a nutshell, there's so much growth happening directly in front of us on Irwin and Machel that we have to put something in place. And, it's a big step, for us to feel safer on our roads. And coincidentally enough, one of my neighbors came over on my yard today and I told him that I was gonna be on the meeting tonight. And he said, you know what? I almost had a front end collision with somebody at Machel and Irwin, and my neighbor lives on the north end of our street. So he had to drive, he was driving north on Machel, and a car came through on Irwin, not looking, I guess, assuming potentially there was nobody coming or a stop sign or what have you. And he had to blast the horn, and they had a chat through the window, and the driver apologized. And I guess it was just didn't see it, however. So anyway, it's very important. So, excuse me, if there's any questions any councilors have for me, I think I'm the eldest on their street here. I've lived here for 18 years now. So I've seen the growth, and I've seen the traffic grow, and the pedestrian activity grow, and the access to the park, the tennis courts, the soccer fields. I've seen that grow as well. So again, please, ask away if you have any questions, but I really appreciate all of your support on this.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Council, first, can I get a motion to receive? Councillor Kim, Councillor Thompson. Any comments or questions for the delegate? Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today so we could ask you some questions. I know that I wasn't 100% convinced just based on the report back from council, because it didn't meet any of the criteria. At the very least, it would meet at least one or two. So it gives us some leverage to say, okay, let's do this now. And I do understand that we do have a planning application that has come before us, although it is coming back for a second time. And I strongly support the fact that we need to address the traffic impact study in that area, and it will be affected. For me, it was just a matter of finding out whether or not this was the best solution. Did you ever feel there was a lot of speeding on your street?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Our speed limit is, I think it's posted at 40 kilometers an hour. But it's not just I don't think there's a lot of speeding, no, because there really isn't enough room for speeding. Now, I have seen a number of cars coming, I guess we would call it, west on Irwin, and then proceeding south onto Machel towards Wellington, and they would accelerate at good speeds there, but not really coming down, I don't think. But the problem is our street, although it's, it meets the criteria for a minor road, but there's parking on our street 24 hours a day. There's at least 3 or 4 cars there. And as you guys know, some of the homes don't have driveways. So the street narrows right at the entrance to the townhouses at the top of our street. I'm not sure what the name of the townhouses are, the condominiums, the new condos. So that's a kind of a bottleneck right there. So people are, racing to get by that, or they're trying to squeeze, or driving on the sidewalk because there's vehicles are too wide, or, I have that issue with my big truck. But from a speeding perspective, I don't think that's the issue. But why we want to have that stop sign put in place, the always stop, is because a lot of people, and I've actually asked, people in their cars, I said, did you not see the stop sign? I said, yes. Well, I assumed there was another stop sign. And this has happened over many, many years, 18 years I've lived here, and nothing seems to change. And when we have vehicles coming northbound on Machel, and they think that Machel continues perhaps to Aurora Heights, potentially, they might think that, but it's not the case. So they're driving through at speed at 40 kilometers an hour, but our end of the street is only 400 feet long. I've measured it out. It's roughly 400 feet long. So you can imagine somebody going 40 kilometers an hour, how quickly 400 feet happens. So you realize that it's a dead end, and they're coming to a halt, and then they have to look at their phone to figure out where they are, and they turn around, and it happens, more than you think.
Counselor?
Thank you. I guess I was under the impression originally that there was a lot of speeding and a lot of vehicles would end up in the dead end zone and do a U-turn, and it would cause a lot of chaos and traffic. And then there were some parking issues in relation to the park. I appreciate you coming and, speaking with council so we could ask some questions. I wish perhaps maybe last week or whatever we could have had this conversation. There are some things to staff that, I wanted more information on. I guess I could ask tonight, but for the most part, I think that it's very incomplete with this planning project that we have coming forward. And I just really want to see other options that might be best solution, because to your point, someone almost had a collision for, rushing around a corner. It's often been told not to be using stop signs as a measure to slow traffic, or, it's been known as a false sense of security to cross the street. So it just, by the sense that what I think you're trying to achieve, I just really wanted to see some other options explored, and that wasn't explored in the report that was before us today. But I do appreciate what you're trying to achieve, and I do appreciate that you want some safety there. I just don't know if I have all the information or options available to make the best choice, so we're not just putting a Band-Aid on it. Thanks for coming.
Councilor Garner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for coming. Yeah, this is your neighborhood. And of course, it's so important to your quality of life. It's 2 small streets, but unfortunate in a way, because one is used as a cut through, or perhaps they're both used as cut throughs, but you've also got the park there. So, you do have a lot of traffic. I hope this will solve the problem. In the best of all possible worlds, we would put local traffic only, and we would ticket people who weren't obeying that. But that's not within our realm of possibility. So I do hope this will provide a solution, and hopefully we'll hear back from you to tell us if it has worked.
Councillor, the delegate has frozen, so but
Yeah,
I'm sure they can hear it. I'm sure they can hear they probably have it on a different thing and can hear the comments at least. So I would ask if you have questions, you might want to maybe give the delegate a call or reach out to them personally, because they are frozen unless they come back in time. So Councillor Garner, go ahead.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Humphreys, did you have a question or just a comment? Because
I just a comment. I guess he's not.
no, it's still
anymore, is
frozen.
he?
So yeah. They'll be able to watch the tape. So
Okay, sure. Just
you can make a comment.
just a quick comment. I've been very familiar with the area. You know, Mitchell and Irwin worked on some helping some residents there with the no driveway and their parking issues, the narrow entrance at Mitchell and Wellington. But I do believe that, and I had some very good friends that lived there for years and years as well. And I understand the concerns, and sometimes traffic warrants, people that live in the residence know more than we would know, and traffic warrants that are very standard sometimes just don't cut it for these unique situations. And I agree with everything the residents said, and I'm looking forward to having that safety measure put in place, see how it works out. I'm sure the residents will let us know if we have to do, oh, you're back. I think he's back.
Yes, I am. I apologize. I'm not sure what happened.
That's okay. The magic of technology. But just, I wanted to say thank you for coming this evening. And I don't know if you heard earlier, but I'm familiar with the area, and often in unique streets like yours, the standard traffic warrants sometimes don't fit. They won't answer the standards, doesn't rectify the issues. So you bringing this forward to us, I think is very important. And as Councillor Gilliland mentioned, some of the planning that's going to be happening in the area, the additional, the condos that were put in the townhouse complex there, the buildings coming in, all different things eventually. This is a good start. Who knows what else the future has in store. But for now, I think it's a good start for safety measures. And I don't even think, like you said, I don't even think it's speeding. I think it's maneuvering. Cars are parked on both sides, very narrow streets, some construction going on here and there. So I hear what you're going through, and I think it's a great suggestion for the moment. So thank you very much for joining us this evening and moving forward on this one this evening. I'm in support of it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Glenn, for delegating, and thank you for your leadership on your street. It seems like every neighborhood has a street leader, as they call it, and thank you for being a flag bearer for your neighbors.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
One of the things I've learned, going into my second term here, is that many times the warrant statistics don't reflect the real lived experiences. And certainly it's not a future indicator, but it's a statistic for the now, and often a backward reading statistic. So, and given the development that we've already highlighted a couple of times today, as well as on the last general committee meeting, it certainly is prudent to have the remediation measures that we indicated, which is the the all-way stop sign, as well as the crosswalk. We think that's going to go a long way, and I'm hopeful that we have the votes to carry this through. I don't think, when I make a decision, it's, you look at, the risk and the reward, and I don't see any risk. If there is no bad decision here, because like you said, it's relatively not a huge long street. The residents have the most to benefit, and it doesn't impact negatively to anybody else. So I'm hopeful that the report will pass, and will go in favor of what you and your neighbors are advocating for. So thanks very much, Glenn.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments or Councillor Gardner, go ahead. Second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know how much you heard before you were frozen, but these are two small but very difficult streets because people are using them as a bypass for Yonge and Wellington.
Councillor.
He's frozen again.
Yes, he's frozen just about this.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
It seems like you're having bad luck with this one. All right. I guess I guess I'll call the vote.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Shoot. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I don't see the voting on my screen.
Just, Councilor Gardner, then just go ahead and just tell me at this point. Everyone else is, I got one, you and one other. So go ahead.
Yeah, the
Yes.
answer is
Thank you. Councilor Gardner is a yes. And
yes.
oh, that's
Yes.
everybody? We got everyone now? Okay, thank you. That carries. Council move to consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve items 6.1 to 6.5? Councilor Kim, Councilor Gilliland, is there any comments or questions on that, on those items? Councilor Gardner, which one?
6.5, or have I missed this?
Oh, Lake Simcoe, yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, it's a very interesting and long report, so I'm going to try and just make it simple. Very wonderful environmental thing happened. I'm not sure if you're aware of Maple Lake Estates. It was a subdivision on environmentally sensitive land, and the authority was able to transfer some other land to the developer so that we can now protect this very important land. We also got a contract with the one of the school boards, the Simcoe County School Board, to do environmental education for 3 years. And that's where the change is going to be with the young kids. So that was wonderful. There's quite a lot on the fixed link to Georgina Island. Far too much for me to describe here. There is going to be a causeway and a bridge to the island. There are some issues, but it is a good news story because the ferry that goes to and from the island is at its life's end and actually is unsafe and unreliable. So I'm very pleased to hear that. We had something very exciting happen in Aurora in the Kennedy Street area. The Conservation Authority was able to partner with a local landowner, and they've contributed $300,000 and the landowners contributed almost the same amount, and 100 meters of stream restoration and wetland creation is going to be happening there. And it's really quite a bonus to the town. So I'd like to thank the authority for that. There will be something coming forward, I believe, about the Holland Marsh treatment facility that has to do with the sewage treatment plant. And I will be bringing possibly a motion on that one. And I think that's about all.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on any of those items? Otherwise, call the vote. Call the vote. Councilor Gardner?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilor Gardner's yes. That carries. Okay, council will move to standing committee reports. This is all number 7. So 7 1s and the 7 2s. Is there any items that anyone would like pulled? Councilor Gilliland.
7.2.4.
Anything else? No. Councilor Thompson and then Councilor Gardner. Councilor Thompson.
7.2.5, the interim report.
7.2.5, the interim forecast update. Thank you. Councilor Gardner?
Was 7.1.4 pulled?
No, let me see, 7.1.4, which is the servicing allocation update. Is that the one?
Yes, yes, and 7.1.5, please.
Fees and charges.
Yes, please.
0.1.4 and 7.5. Okay. Councilor Kim?
7.2.3, the diversity report.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion strategic. Okay. Anything else?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other items? Okay, if I can get a motion to approve all remaining items minus 7.1.4, 7.1.5, 7.2.3, 7.2.4, and 7.2.5. Someone like to move that? Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Gilliland. Call the vote.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. That carries. Council, we will start with 7.1.4 servicing allocation update. This one is the recommendation was just to be received for information. Councillor Gardner, you pulled this one, or will you move that recommendation?
No.
You don't want to receive for information?
Oh, for information, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Humphreys. Go ahead, Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe I could just have some clarification from Mr. Durand, sorry, Michael. This is a reaffirmation report. What does that mean?
Clerk?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think Councilor Gardner will refer you to Mr. Waters on that one. I don't think
thanks.
it's a
Thank you.
procedure term.
I was going to ask about, you looked very confident when you jumped to the mic. So that's why I allowed you to go ahead. But Mr. Waters, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not really sure what the councillor is asking. It says basically it's an update on our servicing balance as of October of this year. And it's presented for information.
Councillor?
Thank you. I've never heard, I've never seen that reaffirmation term used. Thank you. I wanted to make a comment on, I'm on Schedule H, page, sorry, I don't know the page, but it is under the, page 94. So I have a couple of issues with the stable neighborhood site plan approval.
Okay, Councillor, I think you're on the wrong. I think you're on the wrong one. This is the servicing allocation.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor. Okay. So I'm a little confused through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Waters. Mr. Waters, on the report that we had October 5th, the servicing allocation included, I was asking why there was such a big uptake in the servicing requirement. And you mentioned that there were 3 developments that were approved, and in the 3 months since we received our report in July. And one of those was Wellington Towers. but according to our emails back and forth today, thank you so much. I believe you said that Wellington Towers was already approved in our July report.
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we had accounted for, I believe, only the Starlight development, the 56 townhouse units at Wellington and near the high school. But so based on what's been assigned to date, either through from LPAT or through council approval, we're about 525 units for 2021, late 2020, and then the balance of 2021. And we've added 6 as you remember, Silhouette. They reduced the number of units they're proposing. So basically, we've added 525. We've taken 525 out of the balance, and we've added 6. So the total as of today is approximately 1,440 units that are available for allocation.
Counselor?
Well, I'm really just trying to address what the report said. And it said that the 3.5 to 4 years, it was 5 years in the July report, it says in the report, and you mentioned at the table that it was because of the additional units to Metro Square and Wellington Towers. And there was one more. But it seems that Wellington Towers was already approved when you presented the report in July 6th. So it was actually, was it double counted? Perhaps not at the end of the day in the number of units, but it was in the report. And in our emails to say, you said, no, that had already been approved. I'm just trying to understand what you're saying.
Mr. Waters?
For you, Mr. Mayor, what I guess I'm saying at this point in time is that the Wellington Towers, Starlight, and TFP Aurora, which is Maverick and Wellington, have all been accounted for in the balance, which is approximately 525 units. And our current balance as of today is 1,440 units. That's where we are today.
Okay,
Council?
so that means that the what you said at the council table and what was in the report was inaccurate because Wellington Towers had already been approved in the July 6th report.
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if that's what the councillor thinks, then I'm just going with what I have today and the balance that's shown in the report, and that's where we are today with 1,440 units.
Councilor?
Okay. And I'm just going what was in the report and what you said at the council table. Thank you.
Is that all, Councilor?
That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions on this one? All vote.
My vote is yes, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Gardner?
My vote is yes.
Thank you. That carries. Next, we have 7.1.5, which is the 2022 fees and charges reaffirmation. So your question might make more sense on this one, Councilor Gardner. So
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are so many schedules on this.
No,
I
I know,
just-
but just let me just get through this one part here. So the recommendation that was approved from GC is that a report be received, and two, that a bylaw be enacted to set the 2022 fees and charges for applications, permit use, town property for the sale of documents, and for the prescribed service charges for administrative matters as itemized on the attached schedules. Did you want to move that, Councillor Gardner?
No, thank you.
No. Can I get someone to move that? Councillor Humphries, seconder. Councillor Thompson. Councillor Gardner, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm on Schedule H, page 94. And I'm under the site plan approval. So I was, as you know, on October 5th, quite concerned about what we were charging in the stable neighborhoods. And I just think this chart is a little confusing because it says site plan for stable neighborhoods. There's a charge of $1,067. So I was asking what was the difference in the fees between owner and developer site plan requests. So Mr. Waters did point me to the bottom of Schedule H, and in the notes, number 8 of 8, it does say that if you are a non-owner, you have to pay more. So I'm wondering why that wasn't included in the chart as owner requests and non-owner requests.
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The chart in the report speaks to an additional fee that is being proposed to be approved, which is $177, which only applies to two site plans that are non-owner occupied, and that's a charge to cover legal's time to do a title search. The other two fees, the one for owner occupied and non-owner occupied, they were implemented in May of 2021. So they are currently being charged for at the moment. So I can't speak to why that wasn't included in the current Schedule H. My understanding is that Schedule H is just showing you what new fees are being proposed, not what existing fees are.
Councillor?
Well, it's quite clear under site plan. That's a pretty big section, major, minor. And then we have site plan review for the stable neighborhoods. That's just a separate line in the fee schedule. So if somebody was going to come and look at this, they would see site plan review, stable neighborhood, and it just gives you a fee. It doesn't differentiate between if the owner or a developer is coming in for that. And then there's a small note, the last little note at the end of Schedule H that, I went through this report, I didn't see that. So I think that should be included where it has stable neighborhood. There should be one line for owners and one line for developers. It shouldn't just be a little note at the end of H, which is quite a long schedule. So could that change be made?
Mr. Waters? You're on mute, Waters?
I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel has appeared on the screen, so I'll let her respond to that question from the councilor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what we can do is if council would like that to show as a separate line item, just to clarify the amounts, we can easily add that to the schedule just to separate it out. This is the list of all current fees that rates and fees that we do charge. And what it does is it shows the existing fee for 2021 and the 2022 fee is this pretty much the same fee that was included in last year's report for 2022. If there's a change, it is noted.
Counselor?
So for clarification, this is a new fee, note 8 at the end of Schedule H. This is a new fee, and that's why it's not included in the chart.
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. No, it's not a new fee. It's all the fees that were there before. So it's just an update for 2022.
Counselor?
Thank you. And I'm sorry to belabor the point, but it should, in my opinion, be in it should be in the schedule where it says stable neighborhoods. There should be 2 separate comments there, because if I was just looking at this, I would think that, even if I was a developer, I would come in and just have to pay that other smaller fee. And the reason I can't vote for this, setting that aside, is if I'm an owner of a property, I've been living in a house on the property, and I want to build a bigger house, I'm going to be charged $1,067. But if I'm a person who has bought a lot with a house on it, tear it down and build a large house that is going to be worth quite a lot of money, I think that developer should be charged more than a lot more than somebody who owns the property and who's living on it. $432 for a developer to come in and tear down a house and put up a large one, to me it's just, I said it last time, it's disrespectful to the neighborhood. They're trying to keep this as a neighborhood. Council didn't agree with most of the residents who came to council over all those meetings. But in the very least, a developer should be charged a lot more, in my opinion. So I won't be able to vote for it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor, are you able just to call that separately, or do you have to call the whole, will I have to vote against everything?
Well, I mean, one's just to receive for information. So, I mean, if you want me to, I can call the receive for information separately, but.
Just as a follow-up to that, this is what council's already decided. Council already decided some months ago that these were going to be the fees. And that's a question. Why are we having this report here for information if it's already been decided by council previously?
No, council, there's two items. One is, as I read out the recommendation at the beginning, one is to receive, and the other one is that a bylaw be enacted to set the 2022 fees. That's why it's in front of us. But you asked me if I can separate it. I can separate it, clause 1 from 2. So basically, if you want me just to separate to receive, and then the second clause, that's what I mentioned to you. I can't separate individual fees.
Okay, thank you. So I guess I was unclear on this. This is just for council to approve the increase in fees for 2022. Is that correct?
Correct. It's to enact a bylaw and set the 2022 fees and charges.
So why would it just be for information and not?
It's not for information, Councillor. I just
okay.
mentioned.
Okay, so I'm going around in circles, Mr. Mayor. I don't remember seeing it done this way before. I find it a little unusual. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gallo.
All right, could I get some clarity on the motion that's before us in the agenda 7.2.5? It just says that report FIN 21-042 be received for information. Is that what's before us right now?
No,
Is that what we're voting on?
7.1.5, Counselor. 2022 fees and charges reaffirmation.
Oh, my apologies. I was looking
No
at.
problem. There's two clauses in that one. Is that all, Counselor? Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Counselor Gilliland.
Thank you. Just real quickly, just as a follow-up to Councillor Gardner, if Councillor Gardner wanted to put a motion forward specific to those fees and increasing those fees for that particular item later, is that something that Councillor Gardner could do? So we're not faced with an entire application for all of our fees and services today, and then have a separate discussion about that down the road if she were to put a motion in on that.
Councillor's more than welcome to put an amendment forward to increase any fee that she wants on that schedule.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Call the vote. That carries. We will move to the next item, which is 7.2.3. And this is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategic Action Plan. The recommendation out of General Committee was one, that report number CS 21-056 be received, and two, that council endorsed the recommendations contained in the attached Town of Aurora Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategic Action Plan 2021 and 2024. Three, that staff present the draft Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategic Action Plan 2021-2024 to the Anti-Black Racism and Anti-Racism Task Force for review and input. And four, that staff report back on the progress of the strategy at a future council meeting. Councillor Kim, you pulled this one. Did you want to move that one? Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Kim, floor is yours.
At this point, it's been a long journey, but a worthwhile one, certainly. You know, the first step on the road to diversity is for an organization to acknowledge that improvement from status quo is necessary. Now, critical initiatives like this need to get buy-in and support from the top. And I'm pleased to know that our CAO is not only on board, but his personal values includes diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace and in the global community. You know, diversity is a win-win for our community and our society, but it is a huge win for the Corporation of Aurora. It is well documented that a diverse workforce leads to a more collaborative and productive workforce. Problems are tackled from different angles and perspectives such that solutions are more easily attained, and the solutions are often better solutions. From a training perspective, the report alludes about colleagues learning from colleagues on a new way of doing things. It's not just traditional vertical training, but lateral training from fellow peers. So I'm glad to see that training is a big part of the action plan. It has long been said that a diverse corporation starts at recruitment. Ensuring hiring panels are diverse and trained to prevent unconscious bias is a big step. This, in conjunction with sourcing new recruits from colleges, universities, and posting opportunities on sites where underrepresented groups are made aware. And from a new adoption perspective, the town will be one of the relatively early adopters to implement new technology to digitize our recruitment process. We will ensure that diversity, equity, and inclusion requirements are built into the process so that we can conduct blind evaluations without regard for gender, name, or place of origin. So, you know, building a culture is critical. And we have the commitment from leadership and council that we will build an accommodative culture that is inclusive to all. Growing a culture where people of all color, religion, gender, sexual orientation, physical needs feel respected and appreciated, leading to higher employee retention and workplace satisfaction. The decision that we are making today not only aids in our community's well-being and corporate well-being, but it also helps the branding of the town of Aurora. Through thoughtful marketing and communication, businesses around the GTA, Ontario, and throughout Canada and North America will take notice and want to locate and do business in Aurora. Diversification is not just good social policy, but is also good business policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councilor Gallo?
Wanted to follow up on whether or not the anti-Black racism and anti-racism task force reviewed and had any input. I believe the meeting was prior to or after we moved this at GC.
Councillor, my understanding is that's what part of the motion is for it to go to that task force. And my understanding is that it will be going to the task force on November 17th for their input.
The input and then we would get a report back.
Yeah, the last clause is that staff will report back on the progress, and then I'm sure it would have that input as well. Mr. Clerk, would it have that input? I'm just getting a nod yes, Councillor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Call the vote. That carries. Next up on the docket, 7.2.4, Machel Avenue and Irwin Avenue traffic control assessment. The recommendation coming out of committee is one, report number PDS 21-093 be received. Two, that staff continue to monitor the traffic operations at the intersection of Machel Avenue and Irwin Avenue. Three, that council approve the installation of an all-way stop control at the intersection of Machel Avenue and Irwin Avenue to be funded from the town's operations department operating budget. Four, that council approve the installation of a crosswalk south side of Machel Avenue at the intersection of Machel Avenue and Irwin Avenue to be funded from the town's operations department operating budget. Councilor Gilliland, you pulled this one. Would you like to move the recommendations coming out of committee? Nope. Anyone like to move the recommendations? Councillor Kim, second. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Gilliland, floor is yours.
Thank you. Not much more to add. I think it's pretty clear. I wanted to get a little more information from the planning project that is going to be before us, and a traffic report, impact study, and ideally I think there should be some sort of a light, maybe even at whether it's at Machel or Irwin. I know there's a lot of development with Yonge and Wellington, that right hand turn lane. There's just so many moving parts here, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse. Maybe there's one-way streets involved. I have no idea what we're walking into here, but I do support keeping the community safe, but I just want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you. I'm not sure who this would be addressed to, but could we put a no through traffic sign on certainly the Irwin entrance at Yonge Street?
Saying, sorry, I didn't get that.
No through traffic.
Oh.
I mean, people may not abide by it, but I think it might be worth a try, because that is a big cut through to get back onto Wellington.
Mr. Waters, is that, I believe that there's a no exit sign there, but do we have a sign that says no through traffic?
Through Mr. Mayor, I don't believe so, sir.
Okay, is that something that we could do easily?
Sure, we could just, we'll consult with our operations department. I'm not sure if we need a bylaw for that. But if we don't, we can definitely move forward with it.
So Councillor Gardner, how about we can have some discussions offline and we'll look into if it's something that we need to come back to council, then I'm fine with that being something that can come under new business.
Thank you very much. It's just worth a try, I think. Thanks.
That's fine. Any other comments or questions? Call vote. Councillor Gardner?
Thanks. It's disappeared from my screen again, so my answer is yes.
Thank you. That carries. 7.2.5, 2021 interim forecast update as of August 31st, 2021. Recommendation of our committee is that this report be received for information. Councillor Thompson, you pulled this one. Would you like to move it? Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Thompson, floor is yours. It's coming on in a sec. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mrs. Wainwright Van Kessel. Within the report, it talked about COVID revenue losses and mitigation savings. And I just had a follow-up question. With regards to investment income, we identify roughly $1.6 million a year that we expect to come in. I know the year is not over and it's still hard to crystal ball it, but do you have a sense where we are headed with regards to meeting our targets for investment income and whether or not that factors into any of our losses or savings?
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So when we look at the performance or investment income over the first 9 months, we're actually trending about $200,000 higher than what we had last year. So we are expecting that we'll have more investment income over the period of 2021 than we did in 2022. So if we, as you are aware, we allocate some of the investment income to reserves before the balance goes into the operating budget. So if we are trending in the way we're looking at now, we're looking at contributing about 1.57 million to the operating budget, which includes 1.6 million. So we're going to be very close, is where we're thinking we're going to land for the forecast for this year.
Councillor.
Great. That was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Call the vote. Councillor Gardner.
My vote is yes.
Thank you. Carried. Okay, next up, move into consideration of items. Well, actually, we're actually in that, but these are the 8s. So 8.1, second generation asset management plan. This was referred from General Committee meeting of September 21st. Recommendation is that report number FIN 21-037 be received. 2, that the second generation asset management plan be endorsed and the service level measures therein be approved. Would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Kim. Any comments or questions on this? I do want to thank those councillors that took the time that was provided to reach out to staff and get their questions answered. Seeing none. Call the vote. Councillor Gardner.
Yes.
Thank you. That carries. Council, next is 8.2, which is our budget introduction. We have a presentation to be provided by Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel, Director of Finance. Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just want to confirm you guys can see my screen in the presentation.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So good evening, members of council. Pleased to present to you tonight 2022 budget and 10-year capital plan. So the budget overview for this evening, we're going to look at the overview of where we're at compared to last year, look at the operating budget, capital, and then also take a look into reserves, debt management, and the next steps in our budget process. So as you're aware, we have the multi-year budget process in place, which has us do a 3-year budget in year 2 of our council term. Right now, we're sitting in year 4. So the budget this evening for the operating includes 1 year of information, and we're looking to reaffirm that for this year. So when we look at the overall operating and capital budget at a glance, right now we have maintained the tax levy at 2.9% for the operating budget. We did actually have to find some savings in the operating budget as growth was lower than what we had projected in the budget last year for 2022. So we had to find about $600,000 in savings there. The 2022 capital expenditures are at $83.6 million, and we are only seeking an additional $16.3 million in new capital approvals, which includes new capital projects and changes to existing capital projects. The 10-year plan amounts to $302 million, and we are not seeking any approvals for additional debt authority this year. The average household impact of this budget from a tax bill and a water bill perspective includes on the average assessed home at $800,000, $71.51 for the year. On the quarterly water bill, where the average water bill for residents is about 54 cubic meters per quarter, so that's for every 3 months. That's $16.71 for the year, for the quarter. Now we'll take a little bit closer look at the operating budget. So here we can see the operating budget. We've got our gross expenditures are actually a little bit higher than we had last year, but we have additional revenues which are offsetting this. This overall picture also includes water and wastewater and rate funded activities, which is why you may see some significant revenues in this area. You can see our assessment growth. We have reduced the assessment growth from 2.2% to 1.1%, which is what's contributing to that reduced amount in our next net tax levy. The new FTE still remains the same as what was included in the staffing plan as last year, and the proposed budget includes all the initiatives that were included in the 2022 budget last year as well. So you can see here, this is where the savings are to offset the lower growth. Our budget is balanced in 2022. The largest area of our expenditures includes salaries and benefits, program costs being next, which also includes contracted services, and third being our fees for water and wastewater, which are paid to the region for the supply of water and wastewater services. Most of our budget is paid through taxes and through user rates for water, wastewater, and stormwater. When we look at our tax levy breakdown over the last 3 years of the multi-year budget, you can see the impact that's having with the lower growth in 2022. So with only 1.1% growth, it actually reduces the overall amount of how much the budget increases from a tax perspective. So we still maintain the 2.9% tax increase, but lower growth does mean we'll be collecting less in taxes. Inflation is a bit of a hot topic, and we've had a number of conversations about that over the last few council and committee meetings. So when we look at our budget, there's a component of our budget which is related to inflation. That's the 2% as per our budget guidelines, plus 1% for fiscal strategies. So in our last couple of budgets, we had 1.9% in our budget for 2020, which was related to inflationary pressures. And the amount was reduced to about just a little under 1% for last year, or for this year, sorry, when we approved our budget last year. And that is related to the lower inflation that we were seeing during 2020. So as you know, when you look at the solid line here, this is showing where inflation is. And up to the end of September, inflation for the Toronto area was at 3.8%. So the Toronto area is actually trending a little bit lower than what Ontario and Canada inflation is. The inflation rate for Canada was up at around 4.4% in September. And then there's the dash line that just gives you an indication what the average 2.2% increase would be if we extended that out. So that we do have some changes to the tax funded budget, and COVID continues to have an impact in our 2022 budget. So you can see we have our savings for non-COVID related items, and we are planning to use some of the funding that we've received over the last 2 years to help pay for some of the challenges that we're facing in 2022 that are related to COVID. And most of this is in community services for various programs that are run within that business area that Ms. McDougall can expand further upon when we get to the budget committee meetings. So when we look at our gross spending by department, we can see the operational services has the most amount of spending. And the main reason for that is because they also have the water responsibilities as well. When we then look at what is the highest impact on our tax bill is actually from Central York Fire Services, where that takes them up the most of our tax levy that is included in our bill. For 2022, we do have proposed user rates, which are lower than what was included in the budget last year. So our budget last year included the increase of 2.9% for the region's portion of their services for water and wastewater. They decided to forego that increase. So that results in the savings that we passed along to our water customers this year. So our rates are a little bit higher, are still higher than what we're currently charging, but they are less than what we included in our budget last year. Our stormwater rates remain the same as what was included as in the 21 to 22 budget. So this is the impact on the average residential bill. So on a quarterly bill, the bill compared to what people are receiving today on average will increase $16.71, but it'll still be $5.40 less than what we had planned for last year. And that's the savings in 21 that we passed along from the region. The key is operating budget assumptions include that the initiatives that were included in the multi-year budget will continue. York Region will continue to increase the water rates by 3.3%. And this is more certain for 22 because that was approved by Regional Council. COVID-19 pressures will still continue to be a challenge in 2022, as will inflation as well, because we're not sure exactly how long this higher inflation may continue. And assessment growth revenue has been a bit of a challenge, with it being lower than what we had projected. Now turning our attention to the capital budget, our proposed capital budget is looking at capital budget authority of $198 million. This is $16 million more than what we already have in approved capital. So we are also looking to spend $83.6 million in 2022. So when we look at the overall 10 years, this slide breaks down how much we plan on spending in each year. So you can see in 2022, there's a significant amount of spending in there. And the main reason for that is the work is still continuing on Aurora Town Square, which is why you see a lot of growth capital spending in plan for next year. The plan right now is about $8.5 million higher than what the 10-year plan was last year. And this shows you the overall differences from year to year. There's not too many significant changes other than the fact from 2021, you could see that diamond shape, and that represents what the forecast is right now. And our forecast is lower, which has shifted some of the costs that were planned for this year into 2022. Our capital budget authority is increasing by $16.2 million, and that's about 8% of the overall capital budget authority. So overall, the capital budget authority that we're seeking or to have approved includes projects that are also underway. And some of these, and a lot of projects underway do not require any further approvals from council. They do not require any changes to their current budget authority. Some of the significant projects that we have going on include Aurora Town Square, repair and replacement work on storm sewers and roads. The fire hall 4-5 is expected to be completed next year. And we're also working towards the design and construction of the SARC gym. Now taking a look at reserves and debt management. This gives you an overall picture of what the reserve balances are that fund the capital programs. So these are all capital specific reserves. So just want to make a note here, the hydro reserve, you see the decline happening from 26 to 27. That's along with the timing of the Aurora Town Square funding strategy, where we'll be converting the capital loan to a long-term debenture. And that's when we plan to make that draw from the reserve. So that's why that is changing in that year. We do have some challenges with some reserves, particularly the development charge reserve and some of our tax levy reserves, as they are dipping below zero in some years. So we do have a bit of work to do on some of our reserve analysis over the next couple of years. Development charge forecast, as you can see here, we do have some challenges, especially once we get into 2026. So we have to make sure that when we make future decisions for larger growth projects, that we're ensuring that the projects are within the development charge bylaw and that we have reasonable certainty that the forecast for our development charges will come to fruition. So there's a bit more work that was identified in the fiscal strategy to expand upon this and make the forecast more robust. Debt repayment in the 10-year plan. So it is planned to increase, and the main changes that are happening here is in the development charge debt. And that's because we have a couple of items that we have debentures planned for. And some of the items that are in the budget that have not yet required any debt authority or future significant investments, such as a potential new recreation facility, which is what's creating that bigger hump in the middle of the forecast, where some additional debt is being added and in others is coming to an end. The fiscal strategy in the budget document plays fairly prominently, and you'll see it addressed particularly through the front sections of the document when you're going through it. Capital planning, we added about $11 million in additional repair and replacement projects compared to last year's budget, and we're starting to identify the future asset management needs over the long term. Reserve management contributions to repair and asset management reserves includes that 1% that we have for the fiscal strategy currently. We're starting to look ahead at reserve balances to better manage the capital plan. And through the work that we're doing on the second generation asset management plan over the next few years, that's going to help us refine that as well. Debt management is identifying clearly what those debt repayments are planned to be over the next 10 years. In relation to the capital plan. And we're also going to be recommending some policy in the future about how we handle contribution or tax levy that is collected to pay for debt and once the debt is completed. So we can start looking at how we can convert those to reserve contributions to offset some of our asset management pressures. We are in revenue management, we're maintaining that 2.9% tax levy. We're continuing to reduce the reliance on supplementary taxes, and we're also managing the COVID pressures without having to have any one-time pressures on the tax levy. Our next steps. So this is the tabling of the budget, and next we will be moving into budget committee with the first meeting on November 8th. This is where each of the directors will be presenting their budget changes, and it will give you an opportunity to look at each of the department's operating budget at that time. November 15th is when we're having many of our community partners, including Central York Fire Services join us. And then we are planning to start on capital on our Saturday meeting on November 20th. The following meetings are there if should we need additional time. And our target approval date for budget approval is on December 14th at council. So thank you. If you have any questions, looking forward to them.
Thank you, Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel. Council, the recommendation is that report number FIN 21-044 be received. 2, that the proposed 2020-22 budget be referred to Budget Committee for review at its scheduled meeting starting on November 8, 2021. Someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Humphreys. Any comments or questions to the presentation or to the report? Seeing none, I guess we're going to have a really good discussion come budget. Thank you very much, Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel. I'm looking forward to fire and maybe throwing them a question about why they're the highest, but we'll see what the chief responds with. I'll call a vote. Councillor Gardner?
Yes.
Thank you. That carries. Next, motions. We have one, Councillor Gilliland, mental health resources. Would you like to move as is?
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. First, I really want to recognize the work that was done by the Aurora.
Councillor, I need a motion on the floor.
Okay, move as is.
Thank you. Seconder? Oh, Councillor Thompson. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. So first, I really want to recognize the work done by the Aurora Community Cares Group, who did collaborate on a PDF list of various resources, from food to shelter to volunteerism to mental health as an early pandemic response. And it's amazing really to know how many people we have that care in our town. So I want to thank you to all who contributed, including Councillor Humphreys and Councillor Gartner on this. I also had no idea we had this beautiful flyer, in case anybody wants to know, flyer created, especially like the red heart. It's kind of like one of my favorite parts. Regardless, no doubt, it's an overall great resource. However, having said that, my motion really was intended or is intended to focus on mental health on its own. You see, I've really spent the better part of stage 3 reconnecting with the community, reaching out and asking, how are they doing, and trying to get a sense of, where people's priorities are shifting. And it's what I've discovered. It's really evident how crucial mental health and emotional health needs to get attention. And I really wanted to help, and I really wanted to make it easy for me to be able to help and others. So you see, one of the most difficult steps, at least that I find, is admitting to yourself that you need help. And once you attempt to start to look for help, that step can become rather overwhelming very quickly, and can lead to giving up. Just, it's another day, you go back to bed, whatever it is. I know that I've had conversations with friends and family and just colleagues in general. And, this pandemic's been days where people wake up and they really don't know what they're supposed to do that day. And it's difficult. And my goal is to make mental health help up front and center. And people do reach out to community leaders for help, and especially in confidence. So let's make it easy to access, easy to market, easy to share. In addition, I really like to see mental health subsection supports for youth and post-secondary youth and the LGBT community and seniors. Having spoken to some people in the community, that was, some added subsections that people really felt that, they really wanted to have something quick and easy. And they've noticed, especially teachers have noticed, the anxiety in youth and really would like that resource. So, for example, a common story I've heard during this pandemic, really more related to seniors, is, their parents have perished. And I don't mean by the disease itself. I mean, rather the loneliness or the lack of stimulation by both mentally and emotionally. And then I learned about Spectra Helpline and Ready to Care. Recently, that was just on BT, and I was like, wow, there that is. Okay, cool. Let's share that. Our youth and our post-secondary adults especially have taken the brunt of it, with lack of socialization, education, uncertainty about their future. These kids, they don't really know what their outlook is. And I can really relate to the increased anxieties that they're feeling. And some are discovering or questioning their identities for the first time. And then I discovered the Rainbow Youth and Good to Talk, all free. So let's share that. Again, I realize and recognize there's great supports out there, including this flyer. But let's help elevate mental health and its presence on its own and put it front and center. Make it easy to access, to market, easy to share as a friend, as a family, as a leader, as a counselor. As the old saying goes, many hands make light work. And I hope my colleagues will help me elevate this important topic separately. Thank you, everyone.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Humphreys?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I feel, thank you, Councillor Gilliland, and I totally understand. I think this whole world has gone through PTSD with what's happened, for sure. And I really appreciate all your comments and referrals. I have to be really open. This exact conversation was had with the Aurora Cares Committee. And we have a living live reference document. Actually, we had a nickname called the Mammoth document. It's so big. There's so much, and it's right. It's not easy for people to maneuver through. So not only did we do that, we also implemented a hotline at the front desk that we have through our customer care front and center. So regardless who they are, anyone can call here, and we have training 24/7, even off hours, where they will respond and provide the help that they need, not necessarily a conversation, but point to the right resources or get the right resources to give back to the residents, regardless of age, background, ethnicity, anything. Just doesn't matter. All welcome, all over Aurora. In fact, some of York Region wanted to be part of this, so they've started to use a lot of our resources, and I think it's great. I mean, that pamphlet there, it's online as well, and we were proactively, I think it was springtime, we were handing them out at the grocery stores and churches and welcome arms, and I guess with this community, it's a shame that we didn't. Maybe we just have to keep communicating it stronger, for sure, because we had just such powerful community groups. Welcome Table, Welcome Arms, Salvation Army, Food Pantry, York Regional Police. I don't want to miss anyone, but Councillor Gartner and I used to attend these meetings. And actually we regrouped, in fact, because of the mental health portion and in specific, to make sure that we wouldn't let that piece down, as we realized exactly what you're saying, that was probably the most painful right now for all of us. And it is tremendously sad what's happened out there and continuing to happen. So as much as I love this motion, I think it'd be great if we could emphasize what we have today. I don't think staff need to go and do the work again. Perhaps it's taking a look at what we've got, making it easier to access. But I do know that the staff's done a great job of this. Maybe I didn't do a good enough job in sharing when I should have during our meetings and so on. But staff did all the work. I'll recognize Ivy Henderson and Sandy from our communications group with Eliza and under Tasha's team. And many others. I don't want to discount anyone. There's so much work being done. So I just want to say, not sure. You see, you've got right in there social media community partners, which we've done. So I don't know if staff can take this and perhaps look at what we've got today and see if we can enhance it and communicate it out more. But it is a living document. I actually spoke to our communications manager and asked if it was being kept up to date. And there was one, it is where they look at it once a quarter. There was one item that needed a little bit of updating, but most of it is, the rest of it was current. So that has been updated. And again, the front area seems to be ready and willing. We were at a point where, maybe we don't say enough of this good stuff, but we're at a point where people, couldn't get to the grocery store, get picked up, or they were afraid to go out, and staff would arrange for people to get picked up at the grocery store, get groceries brought, and there's all kinds of things being done throughout our entire community. But our town has played a great role in that as well. And all of it really comes down to, I believe you're right, mental health, because it's the pressure, stress, the loneliness, everything that when you're having financial burdens, food problems, it comes down to mental health. So anyway, I support the motion in terms of what it's about. Absolutely. I just think I think it's done, but I would love to hear others, and Councillor Gilliland, I mean, let me know what you think as well. Now that you've had a chance also to look at what we've got there today. So anyway, that's all I have for now. Great motion. I just think we need to elevate what we have.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The committee did amazing work, and the people on that committee were so committed. It was a peripheral part, and I really appreciated the work that was done. My belief is that the more we can do to highlight what is available for mental health help, to just make it as easy as possible. I support Councillor Gillan's motion. I think having it on our website, having it front and center, when you have mental health issues, and I have hit the wall once after one of my daughter's surgeries, but I never went through the crack. But you don't know where to turn. You feel awful, and everything just seems really, really hard. So anything we can do to make the information more easily available, let's do it. And I think a lot of people do use our town website. Even though I must admit, sometimes it's very hard to navigate. So that's why I would like this to be front and center, so it's easy for people. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gow?
Thank you. I'm a little bit confused. I heard what Councillor Humphreys said, and I'm wondering, I got the sense that she's suggesting that we're duplicating. So do we have a page on the town's website to provide information on local organizations and local non-for-profit resources that support and promote mental health and emotional health in response to COVID-19 pandemic? And are we sharing and promoting the partners through the town social media accounts and appropriate communication and marketing channels? Are we already doing that?
Councillor, we've already done that. It is on the website. It could be in a more prominent area, so we could move it up. I mean, staff could do that at any time. We could just ask to move that up into a better location that it's more readily, easily available. Maybe on the first page, as soon as you enter the town website, maybe there could be a button there. So, but from that perspective, as far as the resource guide itself, yeah, it exists. It was promoted about a year ago and was continuously promoted. The promotion slowed down a bit, but it's been sitting on the website. But I agree. I mean, we could put it in a more prominent location. That's very easy to do.
Okay. That's great. I think that's what, to me, it's asking to establish, but it looks like we have it. Maybe we can enhance it. So I believe we're all on the same page that we want this front and center and put as much resources as we possibly can in front of people. So if it's not front and center, somewhat buried, perhaps and I think it speaks to this motion speaks to that, bringing it out and accessible as possible. And I'm not sure what we're doing currently promoting it, to asking to promote it on social media and communication and marketing channels. I don't see anything wrong with this. If we're doing it, great. If we can do it a little bit better, fantastic. The work that's already been done, let's take that and promote the heck out of it. I think it's super important to have it front and center.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson?
I would agree with most of the comments that have been said. I know for myself, when I looked, I know that the Aurora Cares initiatives came out of some of the things we were talking about with regards to COVID-19 and what we could do to help residents. And so it is part of the COVID-19 resource page. But I would agree that if somebody wasn't aware and they just went to our homepage and searched for it, it is a bit of a challenge to find it. And so certainly I would love to see it front and center, have its own space so that people can click on it, because these challenges may not always be derived from COVID-19. There's a variety of factors at play here. And certainly everything that we can do to get the help that people need, I think we should. And so while I recognize that a lot has been done already, that there's a lot of those initiatives that are already in place, anything we can do to make it quick and easier for residents to become aware and access it, I'm all for. I think we all agree that mental health is an extremely important issue, and we want to make sure that anybody that needs that help, it is readily available.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? I'm just going to say, I mean, obviously we all agree to a certain extent. I think that clause 1 is redundant. It's already created. We already have the document. There's no need to ask to direct staff to establish this. It's already been established. The second clause, as far as putting regular updates and all that, yeah, I think that's great. But I also think that the work should continue through the Aurora Cares Community Action Team. And I think that Councillor Gardner and Councillor Humphreys can call the team back to order. They, as the councillors, they can continuously call a meeting at any time. And if we want to, if you want to change a bit of the wording and just say that to be regularly updated through the Aurora Cares Community Action Team and promoted through town social media accounts as has been done in past, then yeah, absolutely. Let's continue to do that, because I know that the team, I know Councillor Humphreys and Councillor Gardner will continue to do that. And I know all the, when you talk about who knows what's going on, that's what the team was put together for. Is you have, as Councillor Humphreys mentioned, you have YRP, you have all our organizations groups. You have Salvation Army, Optimus, Rotary. You have Welcoming Arms, Welcoming Table. You have our church organizations. They're all in there. And these are the people that they know the inner parts of our community and know who needs the help that's needed and how we got to get it out there and get that information out there. So there's that aspect of it too. And so I wouldn't want to miss out on that opportunity and have the team look at this and how they can get that information out there. As Councillor Humphreys mentioned, they went on a total campaign blitz on this and went to all the grocery stores, all the churches, put out all the information. It was delivered through chats. It was, I believe it might have been gone to some of the schools. And this has been happening for about a year. I'd say as the pace on the social media side slowed down, absolutely, but I think we can step that up. But I think that as far as updating it, I think the Aurora Cares Community Action Team needs to be the ones updating it, because they're the ones that created the document and they need to continue to update it. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Humphreys, second time. And then Councillor Gardner, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to look at the directives, right? Now, therefore, be it resolved that staff be directed to establish a page on the town's website to provide information on local organizations and local non-for-profit resources that support and promote mental health and emotional health in response to COVID-19. That's there, and staff updates this already. The team put it together, but staff is updating it regularly. I spoke to the manager and it's up. The resource information is up to date. The second piece is that the page be regularly updated as needed. It is, and shared and promoted with the community. Maybe that's the piece we need to do better, because obviously some councillors don't see it or don't need it. And the community partners through the town social media website. So maybe more communication and marketing channels need to be done. So I'm not going to knock this motion. I'm going to support it, because to not support it would be horrible and it'll look bad on me. I do support it. I think this is, as I said earlier, extremely important, but work was done. And I think when time goes by and it gets forgotten, like everything, and then after a while you need it again. And if people do homework and look and listen when people give advice, maybe they would have known. But now, it's not being acknowledged, so that's fine. Let's just move forward. I support this motion. I just hope staff doesn't try to do a whole thing over again. Take what they have, and hopefully they can just update the area in terms of communication and maybe regularly social media. We also have to be careful. We're not mental health authorities. So what we could do is help direct. And I don't know if there's any liabilities or anything like that. That's the other thing we talked about at the Aurora Cares. So we're very careful to make sure we worked, Neighborhood Networks was another big authority that we made sure we gave resources and would help the best as possible. So we really talked a lot about this. I know Councillor Gardner, you were there as well. I just feel that, I just don't want to discount what was done before. That's all. Staff's work and about 30 members on Aurora Cares. Lots of time and effort was made in this document. They called it, I nicknamed it the Mammoth document earlier, because it's got everything everyone wants, including mental health. So I suggest let's move forward. I'm going to vote for this in favor. And I just hope that staff pays more attention on the social media side and communication, because obviously we need more focus in that area. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner, you want to go a second time?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The CARES Committee did a phenomenal job. The document is comprehensive. And it was a monster, and it was whipped into shape. I believe this motion is going at it in a different way. The document that we're talking about that is so special covered everything that we thought would be of help to the residents in the pandemic. Now we know that the mental health fallout is very severe. And I think that this motion is asking that we make that front and center on our website. And I can't see there be a liability issue. What we're doing, or what we're being asked to do, is to list organizations and local not-for-profit resources. So someone doesn't have to go to that beautiful monster document. They can just go on the town's website, and as we've all said, it should be very easy to find, which is critical when somebody is having mental health issues. And there it is. And I think that this is an addition to the wonderful work that was done and is continuing to be done with information. I'm finished, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Kemp, sorry, didn't see you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Gilland for putting focus on mental health. And as we all know, every decade, there's always some illness that takes center stage and captures the the minds and hearts of Canadians, and in fact the globe. And certainly mental health is probably the big illness that's captured everyone's minds in the last 5 years, and will probably keep on going for many years to come. So that said, I mean, it appears that much of the information is already on our website, but certainly information that is not excuse me, easily findable is not helpful. So, as others have already alluded, we could certainly make that a priority to make sure that it's easily findable. And the other thing is, when you go to the motion talks about links to third-party organizations that educate and help with regards to mental health. And often when there's public health or any kind of health items or other items that I need to know about from just a regular resident perspective, I go to york.ca, the region of York, and when I looked at mental health, they provide half a dozen different links to third party as well as their own information. So perhaps when we update our site or when we add things, we can just simply put a link to the York Region's mental health page, and that would save potentially some additional work for staff. So, thank you for Councillor Gilland for putting out this motion. I'm not sure how you guys want to go, or Councillor Gilland wants to proceed, but it seems that I think 2/3 of what she's asking for is already here. It's just a matter of making it findable so that people can use the information.
Councillor Kim, Councillor Thompson, second time.
Thank you. As we've already established, there is a significant amount of information on the website as it is now. I couldn't answer the question whether it is exhaustive and has everything or not, but perhaps if the mover is open to it, maybe there is a way just to do a friendly amendment to the first clause, just to acknowledge the work that Aurora Cares did and look to not necessarily establish a page, but either to review the existing page or enhance their existing page. I just think that we should have some acknowledgement of the work that's gone before, and all the volunteers and counselors and so forth that, put in their time to develop this document. It is there. And so perhaps there's a way just to adjust the wording slightly in clause 1 so that we acknowledge the existing webpage that's there currently, and the fact that we just need to review it and or enhance it to ensure that all the information is there and it's in a prominent location. And I'll leave that to the mover.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? No? Councilor Gillen, second time.
Thank you. I guess I gotta take a deep breath. I was not really expecting quite the discussion and the way it went, and about taking who did what. I believe I began this motion by recognizing all the hard work of the Aurora Community Cares Committee. I wish I was able to be on that committee, although I didn't know it was being formed. My sincere, and I say sincere, intention was to ensure that mental health resources has its own page for us to point to during this time of need. Okay. Unfortunately, through this process, I did discover that many people, including counselors and staff, had no idea this resource existed until after I wrote this motion, because they simply didn't know about it. And I found it very difficult to find organically. And yeah, there's a lot of information there. And I think that was kind of really the angle that I was going at, is trying to separate kind of all the noise. And, to reiterate what I said earlier, is when you take that first step to recognize you have these anxieties, that first step to look and ask for help, like that can just make or break your next step. And that's really what I'm really trying to do here. I did look through the document. I did see a couple of mental health resources. It wasn't really a long list. I'm not knocking it by saying that. It's just, it was really meant to give general, yes, the CMHA. And in fact, we found out that link was wrong during this process after my motion. That very link was broken. I just think that there's more information we can share under that bucket. And I really wanted to kind of put that front and center, especially on the youth, obviously seniors, the LGBTQ community as well, and just make a clickable button of where you're going mental health. And knowing that if my daughter, for some reason, say she couldn't talk to me, but she felt I need to look somewhere and talk to somebody in Compton, and there was that resource and said youth, she knew she can go there. And it's there front and center. It's a long list of things for her to filter through. There are some government websites that I also discovered in my own research that are free from the federal government, launched last year, called wellnesstogether.ca, all free. The provincial government as well, linked straight there. There's so many things I think that we could add to it, that it could be a document on its own. Yes, or should we take from that particular document? That's absolutely fantastic. I was thrilled to see it. I really was thrilled to see it, but it is buried. It's a document. It's not like a live page. The links, the tabs kind of open up within themselves. It doesn't even open up to a new tab. It's just really difficult to navigate. And I was just kind of perturbed by that. And I thought, let's put this front and center. Let's just make this easier, and let's add to that and make it almost a separate bucket. That's really what I'm trying to achieve here. I have no objection to recognizing in my first therefore be resolved that now that I recognize the Unicares community, because I do recognize the great work. That's exactly how I opened up, and I continue to be thankful for it. But I am trying to do something sincere, and I really hope that we can see beyond all the other noise and just really focus at the task on hand here. And that's really what I'm trying to achieve here. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions? And I think then I thank the councillor for the motion. I think we have been trying to get past the noise. There's been lots of noise, I think, over the last 19 months. But councillor, you stated yourself that you want to add to the document. The first clause, and this is why I say that it's redundant. The first clause states to establish a page. So that's why that clause, it's not about, I mean, I'll be honest, it's not about recognizing, it's that first clause is redundant. If you want to remove that clause, I'm fine with the second clause. I'm sure the second clause is everyone agrees that it needs to be updated regularly and it needs to be promoted. Perfect. Let's get the word out. Let's get it out there to our community. Let's get the people that need the help that they need immediately. We all agree on that. But we have a clause in front of us that is redundant. We've already established this. So if we remove the first clause, I have no issues whatsoever. But I don't see how you can vote in favor of a clause that's asking us to do something that we've already done. I've never seen that at this table. I guess there might be a first for everything. Councillor Gallo, second time.
And I feel I'm unclear. I hear conflicting statements. What I hear from the mover is Councillor Gillen wants to do something very specific and focus in on mental health and emotional health. And I haven't seen the Mammoth document, but I'm giving the impression that it's much more than specific to mental health. Can someone just confirm that, please?
Yes, Councillor, has to do with all aspects of local supports, from seniors to mental health, to homelessness, to battered women. Yeah, it's basically any resource that's available in our community for those that are in need.
And that's excellent, and there's no reason why, I don't think anyone was knocking that, but what my understanding is, what's before us is to establish a page that's specific to mental health. That's what my understanding of what's before us. Not taking away the Mammoth document, perhaps taking some of the specifics out of it that are related to mental health and creating a specific document for mental health and putting it front and center. That's what my understanding of this motion before us is for. And I'm in support of that. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's not taking away from the other document that's more broad. My understanding is the councillor wants to be specific with mental health and establishing information, local groups, a one-click to someone that really needs it, that's specific to that. And I don't see anything wrong with that. And I'm in full support of this and the way it's worded. And it's not taking away anything from what's already been done. In fact, it's different. It's picking on something very specific. And it may not have to be there forever. Maybe it's a temporary thing, let's hope. But I'm in full favor of making it very easy for someone who needs that resource, one click away, right at the start of our website, prominent location. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Well, I'm just going to add on to the fact that yeah, I mean we can start to get specific, but then do we add a separate page for homelessness? Do we add a separate page for battered women? Do we add a separate page for seniors? Do we add a separate page? Like, I mean, we could end up with 30 different pages. The whole point is to provide an area and a link where everyone that needs help, they know it's just one click, they go to it and they get the specific help that they need. I think we've all said that this is great. We need this. But once again, I'm going to say it's redundant. Mr. Clerk, I call a vote, but I'm going to call them separate, please.
Mr. Mayor, my vote is yes.
It's voting on the first clause. Councilor Gardner?
Yes.
Thank you. That carries. Second clause. Councilor Gardner?
Yes.
Thank you. That carries. New business. Councilor Gilliland. Start to my right.
I did have a question. Is Mr. Downey on tonight?
Yep.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Downey, just a question about the thaw rocks. I know that you and I had spoke offline. I had attended a Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority meeting. Councilor Gardner, I'm sure you remember, they were talking about thaw rocks and how wonderful this product is. And a few other municipalities have kind of also taken the lead with that and then led to me inquire about Aurora. And I was really thrilled to understand that we did win an award in 2019. However, I also wanted to know a little about the cost benefit. And I know that you guys were looking into that, and I really want to hear some positive results. And also if there's any indication in the future of using this product on sidewalks. And if you could just briefly explain the difference between the thaw rocks and how great it is, that would be great.
Mr. Downey?
So certainly, through you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening. The Thaw-Rocks product has been used since 2016. I was trying to research a report that the previous director had provided to council with regards to the product, and I fortunately haven't been able to find that report. The main reason we changed from rock salt to Thaw-Rocks is that the Thaw-Rocks actually melts at a lower temperature. So one of the concerns was we moved from rock salt sand mixture to strictly salt was the concern that if it got extremely cold, that the road safety might be in jeopardy, and that is not what happens with Thaw-Rocks. So that's one of the reasons we went to Thaw-Rocks. The other reason we went to Thaw-Rocks was now that we use straight salt, we have no sand on the roads, and that helps with not only spring cleanup, with the sweeping, but it also helps with sediment moving into our catch basins. And so it reduces the maintenance on the catch basins. It costs about $18 a ton more, so it is more expensive. However, one of the reasons we got the award, the Healthy Water Award from the Conservation Authority a couple of years ago
was because we took measures in order to reduce the amount of salt we were actually using on the road. Many cases, we noticed that salt was remaining on the roads. We were using excess salt. We took measures to reduce the amount of salt on the roads. It was recognized by the Conservation Authority. And as you can appreciate, the less salt being used in the environment, the better it is for the environment. With regards to using the product on the sidewalks, one of the advantages of using it on the roads is the traffic itself actually works the salt into the surface. That's not the same on a sidewalk. Sidewalks' primary concern is slip and falls. So sand continues to be used on sidewalks, and we will not be going strictly to salt. Also, salt is more damaging to the adjacent sod. So I hope that answers your questions.
Counselor?
Thank you. So it's just, sorry, I didn't pull the email up. I was looking for it. So it was just sand on the sidewalk? Was it sand and salt mix on the sidewalk? Is that what you said?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we actually use a sand and salt mix, but it's more sand than salt. And it's reduced salt. We still want that for melting. It still has a melting property on the sidewalk, but we need the sand for traction.
Counselor?
Perfect. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I'm glad to know that Aurora was one of the early adopters in our region utilizing this. And I look forward to that report. If you can find that and dig it up, that would be great.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
Councillor Humphries, Councillor Kim, Councillor Thompson, Councillor Gallo, Councillor Gardner. You're on mute, Councillor.
Thank you. We just discussed this at the Lake Simcoe meeting, and the information was that it cost about 25% more in the budget, but it's much more efficient and has cost savings with respect to the amount we use, but also fuel and the trucks going back to the depot to get refills. And so it's a win-win, and there is no safety issue on the roads with this. So Mr. Downey, you were ahead of the pack because this part of the meeting was about encouraging all municipalities to do this. So thank you. I could be wrong, Mr. Mayor, but I think we were supposed to wear purple today because in any case, tomorrow is Dressed Purple Day. And this used to be Child Abuse Prevention Month. But there's a change, and the change is, although the attempt is to still ensure that children, youth, and families have enough access to services and the right services. Also, what was happening was that the Children's Aid Society found that there was an overrepresentation of Black and Indigenous children and youth in the child welfare system. So changing it to just Dress Purple Day is also to bring attention to the public to reflect the commitment to equity and not have overrepresentation in the child welfare system. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Yep, and you are correct. It is tomorrow, and I'll be wearing my purple tomorrow.
Gee, I thought we were supposed to wear it tonight, and I owe nothing purple, Mr. Mayor, but if you look at me, I am wearing it.
Yes, you are, and I appreciate you wearing it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bylaws, Council. Someone like to move the bylaws? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Kim. Comments or questions on the bylaws? Seeing none, call a vote. Councillor Gardner.
Yes.
Thank you. That carries. Confirming by law. Someone like to move that. Councillor Kim, if I don't get other hands up, it's going to be the same people every time moving and seconding. Councillor Kim, Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Gilliland. Councillor Gallo. All those in favor?